Well, good to be with you again, boys and girls. The last time I spoke to you, I said that what I want you to do is to write down in a big notebook all the good things that God has done for you. And I want you to carry on doing that one every Sunday. So every Sunday afternoon, just one, write down one more thing. And as the days go by, that will fill up. So I thought I would talk to you about a boy who had his own notebook, and he wrote things down about God, and that was David, the shepherd boy. His dad had a lot of sheep, and he sent him out all day long with the sheep to look after them. So he had to take certain things. This is his shepherd's bag, and he had to take certain things with him. So first of all, of course, there's his packed lunch, because he's going to be out all day. There's no shops or anything. Packed lunch. And then a little Bible, because he didn't want it to weigh him down, so he took a little Bible with him. And then his notebook and pen, that was going to be what he was going to do the writing with. And then he got this sling. Now, I don't know if you know what a sling is. It was like a catapult. So you put the stone in there, and then you whirl it around like that, and then you let it go, and the stone would fly out. Now, of course, he had to practice that because he wasn't very good at it to begin with. The idea was that if a wild animal came along and tried to attack him or the sheep, he'd be able to scare it off with the stones. So you used to get a tree and he'd say, right, I see how many times I hit it out of 10. So there he goes. Oh, I missed that time. And so he might get about 4 times out of 10, and the next day 5 out of 10. He knew he was getting better. He knew he'd have to try and be quite good at it, you see. So as he was looking after his sheep, he began to realise that God was looking after him, and that the Lord was his shepherd. He was the shepherd of all these sheep, and the Lord was his shepherd. So I thought, I'll write that down in my book. The Lord is my shepherd. He's looking after me like I'm looking after those sheep. And I try to get my sheep to be where there's green pasture, where there's loads of grass, because that's what sheep like doing. They like eating grass, eating all the grass. So I write that down, because that's what God does for me. God puts me in good places, and he gives me a good life. He gives me a good life. And then I'm going to make sure that the sheep have something nice to drink every day, not with a flowing river, because that would be difficult for them to drink, but where there's a big pond or a lake, still water, the water doesn't ripple and they can drink out of that. Oh, that's what God does for me. I'll write that down in my book as well. God leads me beside the still waters. He looks after me. Sometimes I'd have to take the sheep through pathways, through a forest or something, and it was hard, the paths, and he had to control all the sheep going through there. He thought, I'll write that down in my book as well. God leads me in the paths of righteousness. God wants me to live a right life. He wants me to do the right things. The Lord is my shepherd. He leads me in the paths of righteousness. I'll put that down in my book as well. Well, one day, a great bear came along, bigger than David was, and the bear was going to steal one of the sheep and take it away and eat it. And the bear got hold of it in its teeth, picked up the sheep, and off it went. And David thought, I've got to do something about that. So he got his sling, got the stone, he hit the bear, but he didn't stop the bear running away. He thought, I'll have to go along after him. Now, David had 2 sticks. One was called a rod. That was a big stick, taller than he was, big stout stick. And he also had his shepherd's crook. It's got a stick with a curve at the bottom. It's called a staff, you see. At the top of the stick, it was curved. So David chased the bear with his big stick, his rod, and when he got to it, he would go, whack, whack! But the bear still kept running away. He thought, this time I'll hit him on the head and see if that's any different. Whack on the head, and the bear dropped the sheep, and the bear ran away, and David picked up the sheep. Full of blood it was in a bad way, but he took it back and he nursed it back to health. But another day a lion came along, a great big lion, very ferocious. And the lion picked up a sheep, and the lion started running away. So, again, got this. Oh, he didn't hit it. Got it again. He thought, it's it's going to be very frightening attacking a lion, going after a lion. But he picked up his big rod and he went after the lion. And you know, the lion's got a lot of hair around this part of his face. The Bible calls that his beard. And David got there and he went, whack, whack, whack. Still the lion wouldn't let go. So David got hold of his beard and he pulled it, and that hurt the lion so much he dropped the sheep and he ran away. And David looked after that sheep. He thought, I'll write that down in my book as well. When I'm near to death, I won't be afraid, because God's rod and staff, they comfort me. Sometimes a sheep could get caught in a bush and it couldn't get out. So David went along with his staff, the one with the thing at the top, and he put over the sheep's body and he pulled the sheep out of the bushes. See, he was doing that. I'll write that down as well. Well, the one thing he learned about this was that God was going to look after him throughout his life and after he died in heaven. So he wrote down, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and then when I die, I shall be with him in his house of heaven forever. So that's what he wrote down. And later on, he read it again. He thought, I'll make a psalm out of that. So he wrote the 23rd Psalm. You could read that today, Psalm number 23, and it tells you about all those things. And he wrote other psalms to do because of his experiences. Now, this is the same for you. This is what I'm telling you to write down. You may not think much of it at the moment, but when you become a grown-up, you'll read those things and that will help you. And other people can read your notebooks in the future, just like people were reading David's notebook, and they too might be blessed and think about God because what you've written as a boy or a girl. So I hope you'll keep up that writing. Thank you very much.